Good evening. I'd like to call the village board meeting for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. Order with roll call, please.
McAlpine?
Here.
Collier?
Here.
Betts?
Here.
Cavelli? Here. Weinhaber?
Here.
Kraus?
Here.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move to the open forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. I've had nobody formally sign in. Is there anybody who'd like to address the village board at this time? Anybody? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the open forum. I have one item under my report. We have a proclamation for National Recreation and Parks Month. Whereas parks and recreation areas generate opportunities for people to come together and experience a sense of community through fun recreational pursuits, and whereas parks, playgrounds, national trails, open space, community and cultural centers, and historic sites make communities attractive and desirable place to live, work, play, and visit in a manner that contributes to our ongoing economic vitality. And whereas employees and volunteers in public parks and recreation facilities keep these parks and facilities clean, safe, and enjoyable for visitors, organize youth, adult, senior, family, and community activities, provide educational programming, advocate for more open space and better trails, and fundraise for local improvements. Therefore, I, Mark Koenig, Mayor of the Village of Cary, do hereby proclaim July as Recreation and Parks Month for the Village of Cary, and encourage all citizens to celebrate healthy, active lifestyles by participating in the choice of recreation and park activities. Dated this 18th day of June, 2019. I've not been made aware of any trustee reports. Is there any trustee reports at this time? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 through 10 as shown on the village's website as displayed on the video monitor during the village board meeting. There's one amendment to the village board meeting. Was trustee Betts was omitted from the original minutes and she is now included in the minutes. So other than that, could I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Weinhaber?
Yes.
Cavelli? Yes. Kraus?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Betts?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes.
Right now, we will take a brief recess from the village board meeting at 6:03 to convene a public hearing. I will entertain a motion to recess the village board meeting to open a public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2019-2020 Village of Cary appropriation ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any comments from the board or anybody from the audience that has any comments about our appropriation? None said, therefore I will close the public hearing at 6:03. I may have a motion, please? I did that already, didn't I? Did I? Yeah.
So moved.
You didn't have one to close the public hearing,
Oh.
you had one to recess.
Yeah, I need a motion to close the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kraus?
Yes.
Weinhaber?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Betts?
Yes.
Cavelli? Yes. Collier?
Yes.
And I will entertain a motion to approve making the annual appropriation ordinance for the Village of Cary, McHenry, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2019 and ending on April 30th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Betts?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes.
Weinhaber? Yes. Cavelli? Yes. McAlpine?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution entering into a loan agreement with Spirit Water LLC for the property located at 3300 Three Oaks Road.
So moved.
Second.
Brian, you want to jumpstart us on this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. The request this evening is a request from Spirit Water Brewery and Distillery regarding a potential loan from the village's revolving loan fund. Brief history for the village board and the public regarding the loan fund. It was original grant that the village received back in 1987 from the state of Illinois for economic incentives or development within the community. Back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, the village gave out around 19 loans to businesses within the community, but then stopped implementing the program in early 2000. It was re-implemented back in 2016, where the village adopted a new recapture strategy for the loans program and granted 3 loans over the last few years to 3 existing restaurants in the community. Since the time period that the village re-implemented the program, we did receive a determination from the state of Illinois that we're able to utilize the funds in any means necessary for the community, so that we're no longer tied to the state's requirements as far as restrictions, as far as what the dollars could be utilized for. This year, that fund balance was to be transferred to our capital fund as part of our budget process. However, we did receive a couple of inquiries prior to that decision from a couple of businesses that were interested in the loan program, and this being one that has applied for it, that those funds may be continue to be utilized for the loan program this year. Presently, we have a loan balance of $184,000 that's granted loans that are to be repaid to the village to those 3 existing loans that exist. Just briefly, the recapture strategy for the revolving loan program indicates minimum loan of $15,000, maximum loan of up to $150,000. Requires a matching fund preference of 2-to-1 ratio with a maximum term of 7 years. Interest rates were to be established based on the U.S. Treasury securities yield, and for every $15,000 loaned, the business that was receiving the loan needed to create 1 full-time equivalent job, and 51% of the jobs need to meet low moderate income to qualify for the program. Eligible program expenses are summarized in the slide, which include renovation of existing facilities, leasehold improvements, purchase new or used machinery and equipment, working capital, and then some existing non-permitted expenses were also within the recapture strategy as summarized in the slide. The proposed business is seeking, again, consideration for the use of funds for the proposed expansion or relocation of their existing business from another community into the village of Cary. They are purchasing the property at 3300 Three Oaks Road, and they would also be performing about $200,000 worth of improvements to the building for the build out of their space. Over the next 2 years, they're looking to create 2 full-time jobs with the business and 7 part-time positions as well. Based on the salaries proposed for those positions, they would be eligible for the revolving loan fund program from the village of Cary. Unlike other businesses that we've granted loans to in the past, which where the maximum was a 7-year term, they are only seeking a 5-year loan in this amount. Currently, the loan requested is $75,000. The current interest rate for that loan for a 5-year term is 1.92%. This evening, should the board concur with the requests, would recommend that the board approve a resolution with the loan terms as specified in your packet this evening, and then staff will work with the petitioner to complete the necessary loan documents in the coming months to execute that loan. Just a little overview of the proposed operation. They're, again, seeking to occupy or purchase the building at 3300 Three Oaks Road, which is a former country tile and carpet space. This slide shows the proposed floor plan for both the tap room, which would be in this location of the building that would front towards Three Oaks Road. In the back, existing warehouse space of that tenant space would be utilized for the brewery and distillery. The petitioners also here can provide additional information regarding their proposed business and operation, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have as well.
Do you have any questions or discussion from the board regarding this?
Yeah, Brian, I have a question regarding the interest rate. Since we've taken it out of the RLF and we don't have those restrictions on there anymore, can we increase the interest rate?
Certainly, if the board would seek to increase that, most of, or the policy that we've established previously was to go based on the current
Was
US
that the
Treasury.
Illinois guidelines?
No, that was.
That was something that we came up with?
Correct, yeah. Mhm. The existing loans that we have are, I think the highest interest rate that we have for a loan presently is a little over 2.25%, or around 2.25%.
Even though we've moved the dollars into the capital projects fund, and as Director Simmons had illustrated in his presentation, this is one of the last loans that we'd be recommending here for approval. We would recommend, too, that we keep the same terms and conditions that we've had for previous loans out there.
That was my question, is how many other applications do we have out there?
We don't have any other applications. There was one other party that contacted us about this before it was folded into the capital projects fund. They are still actively looking at a space within the community, and we've tentatively reserved that, and we've appropriated for those funds through our appropriation ordinance. And we don't know if that's going to come to fruition yet, but that would be the last one that we'd consider.
And then of the loans we have out there, have we had any issues with any repayments or anything?
No, all payments are coming as we expected.
And presently, from a time standpoint, this loan would, the other loans are at least 2 years in on every single one of them. So this loan would terminate about the same time that those all would terminate as well.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just the whole, taking everything for Spirit Water into consideration, I look at what you're putting into the building, what they're putting in to purchase the building, and all of the monies that are going in, and I feel like this is a pretty minimal ask. I do agree that we need to make sure, and I did talk to Jake about that we had the one other possible entity that's going to happen, and then I think we fold it in. But at this point, I think we should keep everything consistent, and I'm definitely in favor of going forward with this.
I have one quick question on the employment requirements. Can you go back to it again? How many jobs were they creating full-time for the 75,000? 2, you said, right? Or 1?
It is a full-time equivalent position. So with the 7 part-time positions, those also count towards a full-time position. So depending on the hours that are proposed for each position, that was would qualify to, I believe in the, I'm forgetting what the number was, it was 5.5 full-time equivalent positions.
Okay, I just didn't know where that came from.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else?
When did we decide to get rid of this program? Did we vote on that?
It was a part of the budget process that we
But
talked
did we
about.
actually vote on saying that we wanted to get rid of it? Because I think this is a good tool to have in our toolbox, and I'm not in favor of getting rid of it. I'd like to continue with it.
We've already made the action of
I
moving
understand that.
the dollars.
I want to make it clear that I think it's a mistake to get rid of it.
I
I
agree, but there
understand.
was a consensus of the board that wanted to do away with it before. I mean, if that's something you want to bring back at a later time, we absolutely can have that conversation. I would absolutely support that. It's a great tool to have in our toolbox.
I think the challenges that we have, and we've talked about it during the budget process, is just the capital projects fund of, we're running out of dollars within the capital projects fund, and we pay for a lot of items out of the capital projects fund. So I agree with you that it's a good program. It's just, the wants versus the needs.
But I just think, like Jeff was saying, we want to make sure that everyone's clear what it is as it stands right now. Because if that's what it is, I don't want a new business thinking that they're eligible for it. If someone brand new is going to come, if we're not going to do that.
We aren't advertising
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Well, again, just so everybody's on the same page, these were all brought to the board before we made that decision. So we earmarked this for these particular businesses. The one is still in lease negotiations right now. We're just kind of waiting to find out the finalization in that, if and when they will even want the loan. But they asked about it, and we told them about it before. So this would probably be the last one, I'm imagining. But it's a great opportunity for the village. It really helps with the economic development of that part of town. Jay, you've done a great job. Looking forward to working with you on this. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Cavelli? Yes. Galpine?
Yes.
Weinhammer?
Yes.
Betts?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jay. And finally, just one other thing for items for separate action, we're supposed to consider an ordinance accepting a warranty deed for the transfer of the property from Lafarge Aggregates Meyer Material to the Village of Cary. That has been continued to July 2nd. Jake, you have anything for us?
Mayor, Village Board, just a quick update here. Our next meeting is on July 2nd, and currently evaluating if that meeting is needed. I know that in the past, sometimes we have canceled that meeting since it's around 4th of July. Folks may have vacations or trips planned that week, so we're looking at it. We'll communicate with the Village Board about that and make sure the residents are aware if that meeting is canceled in the future. That's all I had.
Thanks, Jake. Chief Finland, anything for us?
Just to let the Village Board know, I know we sent out a text caster earlier today in regards to the maintenance of our tornado sirens. They are going to be maintained tomorrow during an 8-hour period, and the maintenance company, Brand Communications, may be testing them periodically, so they may be sounding, and we are trying to educate people in regards to not reacting to them in terms of letting them know that it's maintenance and not an actual emergency or something to respond to. So you'll see another message out at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning reminding people of this maintenance and the possibility that the sirens may be activated.
Thank you, Chief. Director Morimoto, anything? Anything on Three Oaks happening?
As usual, we are, as a village, very busy this summer.
Yeah.
Good
Our
segue.
fifth season, construction season is in full swing. In addition to all the work at Metro, we have Three Oaks Road in full construction mode. This week, the contractor started on removals and earth excavation, and they are on schedule with the first phase of the project, which is that creation of the new bike path between Carroll Algonquin Road and First Street, as well as a bit of the road widening to add that additional turn lane on First Street by the high school. And then with the goal and the schedule in place so far, they are on target to hit that resurfacing work, which would be the milling of the pavement and the new asphalt in July, and then get that work completed before school starts in August. And then the final phase will resume back again next spring when we will do the tree planting, and then the new signal equipment will have arrived by then and be installed. So the new signals at First Street and the overhead pedestrian beacon. So far, we're on schedule. We appreciate the public's patience during the construction. There's occasional lane closures with flaggers, so there's no detours in place, but there is active work going on during the regular business hours, and we are still on target.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Director Simmons, anything for us today? Nothing from Michael? Okay. Any future agenda items in discussion by the Village Board?
I would like to see us get one of our taxing bodies in again. You know, we had the Park District probably 5-6 months ago. I'd love to see us get the District 26 or 155 a representative in and give us an update on what's going on.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was contacted yesterday by the new president of the Cary Park District. Wants to get together with me and start an open dialogue with regards to, keeping everybody in the same loop. So that the timing of that is really good, and he seems very anxious to work with us. So that's a good thing for the village.
Well, even with the district, the school district, have them come like right before school starts, and that they could let us know like what principals are in the schools or something like that, the updates of schooling right before school starts.
Thank you. Is there anything else for future agenda items?
So I sent an email out to the board, just asking if anybody was interested in discussing. There's a town in Wisconsin that's looking at having the police assist with bullying, making the parents responsible for it. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to discuss it or spend any time on it. Did you guys have a chance to
I
read
didn't
it?
have a chance to read it.
That's okay.
There's been a special that they've been advertising this on TV about they're going to be issuing fines for parents that their kids are
Yeah,
involved
and I
in
don't
bullying.
watch too much TV, so I didn't know that was being advertised. So I
Well, it's
saw
not
it.
because it was on the news. So it's an interesting concept, but I'm concerned that would we be overstepping our bounds with the school district? And that's something I'd be like,
Well, maybe that's something we can talk to the school district if we have someone come in,
yeah,
like in conjunction with it or something, just see what their thoughts are.
okay.
But this is separate from the school district, so this would be law enforcement doing it and creating an ordinance to make parents responsible. I was just looking at the police reports and the amount of suicide calls, and I know they're not all student-related, but we have about 2 or more every 2 weeks. Is that about right?
Yeah, we go.
The great majority of them are adults. The great majority, like 90% or over, are adults that are either suicide threats that we respond to, and then they, the fire department's summoned and they're taken to a hospital for an evaluation. But that's really, you know, it's usually somebody else making a report that they're concerned for their well-being, or they're exhibiting some type of behavior that we have to address as it relates to a potential problem for their well-being or self-harm or something like that. But I see some issues in regards to jurisdiction, especially if it's a local ordinance, because you know, it's kind of like the identity theft, where there's an incident that occurs on both sides of the transaction, and if they live out of town, and they're doing from out of town to somebody that's in town, or are we basing it solely on the school district and their interactions at the schools? So I think there's some issues that have to be resolved or addressed in regards to jurisdiction as well, because local ordinances are only really enforceable within the boundaries of our corporate municipality.
Well, I'd be willing to have a conversation
Yeah,
just to see what it's all about.
I'd like to see how the model's used, what they're trying to do. Yeah, sure.
Well, is there a current ordinance that has some sort of parental responsibility for other crimes?
Like graffiti or alcohol or something like that, but that's
Sure.
occurring within the municipal corporation.
Right. As far as the high school and the middle school, I guess they're not all Cary, right?
No.
You got Foxborough Grove, Oakwood Hills,
Right.
but you would notify those police departments then?
Well, yeah, I mean, only if it's within the
Right.
school, but if it's occurring within our
Right.
jurisdiction, we just handle it within our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Scott caught me on that. I got to say that now. No opposed. All right, we will reconvene in just a few minutes.